Here we go. Here we go. Hello and everyone. Welcome everyone. Oh, I'm getting off to a good start, Paul. Hello and welcome everyone to this fourth live stream of the Keyboard Chronicles. We're very excited to be here. How are you, Paul?
David, I'm great. I feel like it's been ages since I've chatted to you, and we've been able to have a yarn.
Yeah, that's right. It has been a while. So look, let's kick off with that because I've
Okay.
had literally thousands of emails, Paul, with conspiracy theories around have you fired Paul? Has
Mm,
Paul quit in disgust at
mm,
your lack of capability? Has he died? Has he been, replaced Paul McCartney in the Beatles?
mm,
All
mm.
sorts of stuff. So I think it's your chance to actually clear up just what's been happening the last few weeks.
Yeah, look, and look, all of those things are highly likely when you think about, I could easily quit in disgust. You could easily sack me for my incompetence. I could most certainly easily have got a tap on the shoulder to be part of the Beatles. Very likely, but look, none of those things have actually happened. I've just been really busy.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do squeeze our podcasting activities in between boring things like real day jobs,
that's right.
and Dave and I are both really busy with musical stuff, and I'm touring quite a lot at the moment. And the honest truth is, we don't like to make our guests dance to our tune. We prefer to work around them because we're very honoured and privileged to have them. And
That's
it
right.
just hasn't worked out timing wise to be
No,
able to do a few of these shows. And I know we're going to talk a bit later, David, about some maybe hint at some of the,
yes.
we have got some killer guests lined up, like really good ones, and I reckon I can't do the next five. So if you happen to be watching this, I'm actually not going to be participating in quite a few of the next lot of podcasts, and that's for no reason other than it just doesn't work with me from a scheduling point of view. I'm very jealous and I'm very upset, but I will watch the episodes back with great excitement. In fact, I really enjoyed your one with Danalog, David.
Yeah.
I'm a massive The Comet is Coming fan. I love them. I thought Danalog was a really cool guy. He seems like the sort of bloke, I think I mentioned to you afterwards, like I'd love to have a beer with. And what can I say? You know what I love about The Comet is Coming? I love their name, and I love how you shone a light via Danalog on the story of how that name came to be, hunting
That
around
was great.
in the
Yeah.
archives. But I love how they really owned that theme. So if you look at their song titles, it's like every song title is about apocalyptic destruction. It's just so good.
And
What
he,
what's not to like about these guys? And to cap it off, the keyboard player is called Danalog. Thank you very much. I think I know what sort of keyboards he prefers. So yeah, you did a
yeah.
great job with that, David. It was
No,
a pleasure to listen to. Yeah,
no. Look, yeah. Look, Danilog was great,
he was.
and you deserve credit because he was actually your suggestion. I know you remember this, so I was unaware of the Comet is coming, and as soon as you linked me, I think it was the NPR Tiny Desk concert that they did, and I went,
Yeah,
oh wow, yeah,
how good.
yeah. So no, great guy, and yeah, no, it was a thrill to have him on. So speaking of great guys and keyboards. We've talked a few times on I think the actual episodes and maybe on a live stream how you've stuck to some tried and true keyboards. The rig tour we did, you gave us a great rundown of it with Echoes of Pink Floyd. You've finally broken the drought, Paul. Tell us about it.
I know. So for those who came in late, I have no, I don't have gas gear acquisition syndrome. I have like anti-gas. I hate buying new gear. And the reason I hate buying new gear is I get very stressed about changing my workflow. I'm a real creature of habit. And for those who've seen my rig tours and that, I'm a real Luddite too. Like I'm very basic. So there's no fancy MIDI and VSTs. I'm just like, this keyboard makes that noise. That's the keyboard I'm having. But I have a friend. His name's David Holloway, and he cruelly enabled me by sending me a really good end of financial year deal on a Korg Nautilus. And the more I looked at it, the more I couldn't think of reasons not to get it. So there it is, folks.
Oh wow, there it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm trying to program it at the moment, which is proving not too bad because I've used a Korg Chrome for a long time, and the UI is very similar. It is obviously a much more complex beast and a much more powerful machine, and it does do a couple of things a little bit less intuitively for me, but it's just a case of familiarity, and I think I'll get with it. So my initial impressions are, for those interested, oh, I love it. It's so good. I mean, the keyboard is the keyboard significantly superior to the Chrome, and look, anyone who's used a Korg Chrome 61 will go, yeah, of course it is. The obviously it's got the Kronos power behind it, a lot of the same sound engines and a couple of extra ones actually that the Kronos doesn't have, which are very cool. And it's pretty easy to get around from a navigation point of view. It's nice and simple. If I was to talk about some of the things that are a bit disappointing about it, and I mentioned this to you, David, the other day. The one thing I love about all my Korgs, they've all got the headphone jack in the front.
Yeah.
And even right now, I'm finding that frustrating. So I'm using headphones, and it's got to go all the way around to the back, and so I don't have the same. It's just not as easy.
No.
So that's so I used to love that. So that's disappointing. It's a minor thing. And the other thing that is interesting about it is just, it's not something that people don't know about these keyboards, but the boot time is very, very long, particularly when you start adding your own samples, and then it has to auto load those samples at the start. And so she takes a while to get up and running, but as I tend to say to people, I only have to turn my keyboards on once per show, so that's okay. We turn them on and it's on. So,
I was going to say, have you ever had a power failure at any of your shows? Probably not.
yeah, once. So it has this for a train wreck story, David. We were doing a sound check. This happened this year. So we were doing a sound check at, I can't even remember the venue, and I won't name them anyway. And they gave us this real dodgy power board, as we call them in Australia. And it was set up right near the bass riser, just where the stairs to get up onto the bass riser were. In our band, I sit on one side of the stage and the bassist is on the other. We're playing these really big stages in Echoes of Pink Floyd. It's quite lovely. But so all the way over on the other side of the stage was where, for some reason, they plugged in my power supply was plugged into this dodgy power board. And at sound check, Tony, our bassist, he accidentally kicked this power board, and my whole rig just went down like that. Now, that happened at sound check, right? So what a sensible person would do, David, is I would have said, look, okay, let's remediate this issue. Let's get the venue to change out the power board, or let's not have them put the thing right where the bass player can easily step on it or anything. But I didn't. I just replugged it in. Tony apologised, and we went, oh, she'll be right. So the show starts. Now, let me just say this. She was not right. So we walk out to start the show, and it's with Echoes of Pink Floyd, and we start the show with Shine On You Crazy Diamond, which is, for those who know the song, it starts with this big, lush G minor, synth pad comes up, and then a lovely keyboard solo. So I start the song. So big anticipation builds. We walk out on stage. I walk up, step onto my riser. I'm just about to hit the G minor to get things going. The audience are giving that little golf clap they do because they're excited that you're there. And sure enough, all my entire rig went down. Now I was running a Chrome, and so the Chrome does not take as long to boot as, say, a Kronos or a Nautilus, but it takes a while.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're standing there on stage and everyone's waiting for something to happen, and there's literally nothing happening. So it was a pretty funny moment. We got through it okay, and we got the rig powered up again. The good thing was, because it had happened at soundcheck, I knew exactly what the problem was.
That's right.
So I ran over to the bass riser and plugged everything back in, and Tony said, "Oh, sorry, mate," and I ran back, and away we went. And I don't even think the audience really noticed. I had a video, which I played a video, and they watched that. So it was,
good.
So to answer your question, yeah, I have had that happen. So if
there you go.
The Nautilus, we're probably, I don't know, we're probably having an ad break or something while we wait for the
thing
to come back up.
I mean, it's okay if the whole band goes down, but you're right, if it's just you, that'll be an interminable wait.
It was very funny. Anyway, these things happen.
Excellent. And thanks to those who just joined. Hi, Tammy and all. I can't see who else has joined at the moment.
Oh, good day, Tammy.
So, welcome. So let's talk a bit about some travel plans we have, Paul. So we think ahead, us too. We are planning actually on being at the very well-known and famous NAMM show, so National Association of Music Manufacturers, I think it is. We're not going next January. We're going the one after. So at this stage, we're planning on January 2025 being there in Anaheim. Well, I assume it's Anaheim. There's still some debate, I think, on whether they'll revert. I think they'll definitely revert to January, but there was some rumours at one stage it may move from Anaheim. So fingers crossed it doesn't in January 2025.
Mm.
We're going to go on the roller coaster at Disney and also attend NAMM, Paul.
Exciting, right? So obviously January 2025 is a significant time away. But David said, "Hey Paul, do you want to come to NAM?" And I couldn't. It's a bit like buying the Nautilus, right? I couldn't think of any reason to say no. I said, "Oh, all right, yeah, let's do it." So it's a long way away, and we'll remind you all. But if you want to, if you can get to NAM, I know it's not necessarily open to everyone to go, but if you're able to get there and you want to say good day, say good day. We'll be hanging out.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
might try and do some live sort of fun kind of face to face things. And what do you reckon,
Yes.
David?
No, I think
Yeah,
we will. And
yeah,
one of the highlights, unrelated to our show, but we mention them nearly every show, is the musicplayer.com forums. Probably for about the last 20 years, they've had a tradition of having a dinner at an Italian restaurant relatively close to where NAM is, where all the forumites get together. So I had the privilege of going to NAM in January 2020,
yep.
just as COVID was impacting, and there would have been 20, 22 people there, including some relatively notable names, including one of our former guests, Tom Brislin from Kansas,
Ah,
who
great.
I didn't actually get the chance to have a chat to, which I've regretted ever since. But yeah, so it's a great time. It is one of those things where you just get to see a whole bunch of like-minded people and have a great time. So yeah, we'll obviously have a lot more to say, um, and we'll just looking forward to being over there. Hopefully,
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, that's something I've never done, so I'm excited for the opportunity. And gee, I couldn't think of anyone better to go with than you, David. Honestly, it'd be.
yeah, that's right.
Will we still be talking to each other by then, won't we?
I
I'm sure we
think
will.
so. Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
think even though you're deserting me for all of July to join the Beatles, actually
yeah.
speaking of the Beatles,
Mm.
it sort of is a bit of a segue to our. We're going to talk a little bit about AI. Is that there was that news in the last week that Paul McCartney's come out and said that there'll be one final Beatles song, and they've used AI to basically, it's hard to explain, but John Lennon features his vocals feature on it, and they're using AI to, I assume, extend what he previously recorded. So there actually is some recording of him singing on this last song. It was a demo. I'm not sure from what period. And they're using AI to sort of extend what he did. So they're not they're not making his voice up from scratch or anything like that. But I'm a bit excited by that. I think it'll be a huge level of interest just to see how good it sounds.
Yeah, AI just seems to be improving so quickly, and just getting better and better. And the growth in what it can do seems to, I don't know. It's like to me, David. It feels like it's exponential.
Yes.
I mean, can we have a philosophical chat about it? Are we?
Yeah.
How do you feel? How do you feel about it? Are you feeling good about it? Actually, I know you're an early adopter. I know you love AI, but but from a big picture point of view, what should we be worried about?
Yeah.
Or should we not be worried? What do you think?
No, I think we should be worried. And there is, and sadly, the New York Times is behind a paywall, but they ran a story in the last couple of weeks that is amazing. They pulled together sort of five experts in different fields. So one was in AI from memory, but there were four other people like sociologists and other ones just saying, what impact is this potentially going to have? And there's lots of potentially wonderful stuff, as you'd expect, and there's lots of potentially real downsides.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
am I excited? Yeah, do I love it? Yeah, to some extent, but I find it's a bit like the internet. I quite often say I don't know how I would live without the internet now,
yeah.
but I would happily have the internet disappear tomorrow and we all have to adjust to that. But as long as everyone doesn't get the internet, I don't want it to just be me. So, like, I'd hate to be
Yeah,
without internet knowing everyone else has got it. But if we all have to miss out on it, if we have to go back to writing letters and doing memos on paper, well, I think I can live with that because none of us have it. Which sounds,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I know what you're saying. It's funny. I think if you have a particular skill at that kind of thing, you might feel a bit like, I've now got a redundant skill set. It's a bit like
yes,
being able to do beautiful cursive handwriting. That seems to be a redundant skill now. It's
yes,
just
yeah,
if you can't type, don't worry about it. Do you know? Speaking of the New York Times, David, I was reading a really interesting article in there from a week or so ago, a couple of weeks ago. So over in the US, a a gentleman tried to sue an airline, Avianca Airlines, and the nature of the suit was he was flying in the airline, and I think there was a bit of turbulence or a tricky sort of thing, and the flight attendant had the meal drinks cart they put down the aisle had smacked him in the knee with this, and so it was claiming a personal injury or whatever. So that's not the interesting part of the story. What's interesting is the case got thrown out because one of his legal team used Chat GPT to prepare their brief. And here's what they did. They prepared this 10-page brief with all these different, and they cited, as lawyers do, other cases that were relevant. So they had things like, Martinez versus Delta Airlines and Varghese versus China Southern Airlines and all the
Yeah.
rest of it, and ChatGPT found all these citations, so it saved a bit of work, right? But here's the problem. ChatGPT made all that up.
Yeah.
So those cases didn't exist. And so the defence lawyers, when they went to go and have a look at these other cases, well, we can't find them. We don't think they exist. And so the poor old lawyer, whose name was Stephen Schwartz, for the record, was excoriated in open court by the judge. And I'm not too sure what the penalty was for that. But yeah, so I guess it's a great tool, but we just have to be careful how we use
Yes,
it.
I know. I think yeah, absolutely right. And I think the making up stuff is very valid. I did probably 3-4 months ago when ChatGPT was really starting to hit the headlines. I did the equivalent of Googling myself. I thought, what's it going to make up about me? And sure enough, it made out I was CEO of the previous company I'd worked for. Now I was nothing like that level. I wish.
Right.
So it's amazing the stuff, and I don't know whether it just pulls together two disparate pieces of information and synthesizes them. I don't know. But in regards to music, I think
Yeah.
for the next, as far as us musicians, I honestly believe even people that are kids today
Mm.
will want the human contact of going to a live music show and not just
Yeah.
having machine generated music. Although I suppose you could argue it all just ends up like the Venga Boys, where they just turn up with their laptop and play all the machine generated music and have the humans mime to it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I mean, I still think live music is as popular as ever. And I've got two young sons who are, one is 19 and the other's 23, and they love going out to bands. And the sort of bands they watch are very popular with the young people, and they get heaps of big crowds and so on. So that's encouraging, I think. That being said, if you are you familiar with the phenomenon of Vocaloids? The,
No.
uh, the, the so
Oh,
if you encourage yourself or anyone watching and listening, type in Vocaloid, Vocaloid, into Google, and be prepared to go down a very strange rabbit hole. And this isn't even a new thing. This has been around for a few years, but this is watching a concert sung by a virtual anime character is really what we're seeing. So, and that's with old technology, right? So imagine what
yeah.
AI could do to enhance that experience for young people. Interesting idea.
Yeah, exactly. And particularly when you combine it, and I'm not going to go down the Apple wormhole on this live stream, but the Vision Pro that they announced at WWDC, been nearly 2 weeks ago now. Sure, there's lots of hype in their promo video, but even if they pull off half of what they're saying that headset will do, it's
Yeah.
going to transform the world like the iPhone transformed smartphones.
Look, I
It's
think they're certainly hoping it will, David.
yes.
I think that the barrier at the moment is I think you need to drop 3 grand to get one.
Yeah, they're
So,
not cheap. Well, that's 3,000
mm,
US, 3,500 US. So we'd be looking at
mm,
about $5,500.
mm,
And they're saying it'll transform even things like we're doing right now, being on video chat, that
mm.
we can be doing it with our headsets on. And this is what blew my mind is that the headset digitally recreates your face for the other participants, so they don't actually seeing you wear the headset that you are.
Yeah,
So you are still
I saw that
talking.
too.
Yeah, it's just like that's incredible, and I'm sure it'll be glitchy and problematic the first couple of versions, but I can imagine it'll get very, very good.
Are we all going to become enhanced humans, David, like the Universal Soldier from the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie? Is that where we're going?
I just hopefully, yeah, with better, but hopefully I can act at least as good as Van Damme.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you can. Although he might have you covered in the karate stakes. I
Oh,
was just I was just thinking before we get off the subject of AI and ChatGPT, that story you were telling about how you Googled yourself and you Chat GPT'd yourself and you became the CEO. Next time you're applying for a job, can I suggest you use Chat GPT as a referee?
yeah, that's right, as CEO. Yeah, that's a great idea. I like it. Tammy just posted in chat too that we are losing more and more humanity, unfortunately, and that right, it does go back to that human contact with
Mm,
music, and COVID did teach us, as she said there, that the importance of human connection when we're all isolated. So we do
yeah.
depend on a person being able to do things. Not everything can be automated, and that's absolutely true. And that's where a lot of the hype is around AI at the moment. It's sitting within machines that can't move. So the reality is, until you've got really, really effective robots that have that AI or whatever it is inside their heads, you're
Mm,
not going to see. I still think there'll be some radical transformations in some work areas. Your law example is really good because everyone constantly says robotics or AI will make paralegals and law clerks, redundant in the next 20 years. That could be the case, but based on what you've just said, maybe not. So yeah,
well, the sting in the tail of that story was when when he was sort of asked about, well, didn't you check that this stuff was correct? He said, well, I did. I asked ChatGPT if it was telling me the truth,
yeah. Oh God.
and it said, yeah, I am.
Yeah. That's about, yeah. And look, there is some cool stuff in music that it can help you to make your own music. And if you go to the keyboardchronicles.com, I did a story probably 6 weeks ago around using ChatGPT and I've forgotten the name of the software, but it's Raspberry Pi, but it's called Sonic Pi, I think it is,
Hmm.
which is the programming language. And ChatGPT will very happily generate Sonic Pi code that you cut and paste into a web browser, and it outputs some music. Is it the most exciting music? No, but
Mm,
I generated some craft work.
mm.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, enough non was worth a chat, particularly with you joining the
Yeah,
Beatles.
and it is it is non-music, but it's going to invade every part of our lives, right? I mean, digital
It is.
technology has transformed the music industry, and the way those of us who perform operate musical instruments, and I guess AI will too at some point.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got a meeting music question to get onto, but I just wanted to briefly. Oh, I've got all blurry again. I love it when that happens. Eventually, it'll right itself. So we'll just put up with blurry. I'll wave at everyone. Hi. That wasn't a Nazi salute.
I shouldn't have said
That.
that.
We're on a live stream. That's what it's about. I'll
Dig
lean
upwards,
back.
David.
Yeah,
Dig
that's
upwards.
right. Back. Tammy had a great question is what is one piece of gear, whether it's keyboards, amps, speakers, pedals that is no longer made that you would love to make a comeback? Paul, you first, and I haven't given you notice of that one
Oh
too.
no, no, you haven't, and you just heard how much I love gear. Like, not really. I'm a real pick and stick sort of person. So maybe after a couple of months of using the Nautilus, I'll say I wish my Korg Chrome could make a comeback because I'll be completely confused. But I, looking back on all the years of playing music live that I've done, which is over 30, there's not a lot that I miss. Things have generally got better, and I mean that in so many ways. I do miss a little bit of the simplicity of things, but that's probably just me being an old dude. Like, I still prefer using analog desks to digital desks because I just understand them better, and I hate menu diving and that. But that's just me being a luddite again. I think I just need to get over that, and it's a familiarity thing. But this is probably not. This is just for me. And maybe when you share yours, David, it might trigger a response. But I can't think of anything. I mean, let's be honest, things have pretty much changed for the better,
Yeah,
in
that's right.
in, in my opinion. And all the cool old stuff's still around or been reissued because it was so cool. So
Yeah.
that's sort of.
No, that's true. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add either beyond
Mm,
I did love my Roland. I don't think I had an A90. I think it was an A70, which was the MIDI controller keyboard, the big beast of a thing.
mm,
It was wonderful, as
mm.
was my Yamaha. It's it's terrible. I've forgotten which one it is, but it's the Yamaha one from about 9, 10 years ago. And again, it weighed a ton, but was just one of the best keyboards I ever owned. And they sort of have evolved from there, but in some ways we've lost some of the more simple functionality as well. So yeah, I'd probably just say there's some older controller keyboards I'd love to have revamped.
Yep.
So that you're right, they've done all the analog re-releases between the main companies and Behringer, doing their, I'll put it in quotation marks, tributes to some classic analog synths. A lot of it's covered, but yeah, it's just more those they're probably clunky. Like the JV1080, there's rack mounts. That's what it is. I want to see rack mounts make a comeback.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, and why do you say that?
They're not needed anymore. I totally understand why they don't make them. I think the Roland is it the Integra 7 is about the only one left, just from that more generalist viewpoint. I just like the simplicity of you have them in a rack mount case. They have thousands of sounds in them. They're reliable. I'm literally looking at my JV 1080 here, which I had the battery replaced. It works perfectly, and it's like those sounds have held up remarkably well.
Yeah, and I guess it can stay with you, and you can attach whatever keyboard you like
Yeah,
to it,
that's
and
right.
away you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
no. So good,
Yeah.
good question. So, thank you, Tammy. So, and just a brief plug. We try to minimise the plugs, but just to let Tammy is one of our proud Patreon supporters. We thank our Patreon supporters for the support they give, because they do help keep this afloat. Although it doesn't cost an absolute fortune to keep this show going, it does cost. So I just wanted to let people know that the Patreon are now offering 7-day free trials. We can actually get a glimpse of what is behind the paywall of Patreon for Keyboard Chronicles users. Basically, we keep in close touch with our patrons just to let them know about upcoming guests, opportunity to ask questions of upcoming guests. We do provide at least twice a year, and it's usually more often that, with early access to shows. Sometimes
Smashed that last
yeah,
year.
we
Heaps more than
yeah
two. Yeah.
same this year. We've already sort of met our yearly quota, and we plan on continuing to do that. So patrons will get somewhere between 7 and 30 days early access, depending on our schedule, to shows. So yeah, the lowest price in US dollars is $2 a month. So it is really tiny amount. It works out at about $3 Australian, up to our silver supporters like Tammy that pay more.
We
And
love you,
get
Tammy.
and you get shout outs on shows and all that stuff. So yeah, do consider it does help. Or if you like something more concrete, you could always buy, says David leaning back,
Ooh, look at that.
the Keyboard Chronicles t-shirt. So if you go to our keyboardchronicles.com/merchandise, we have 3 new designs. And again, Tammy, to mention you for the 900th time legitimately. Tammy very kindly bought a t-shirt on top of her support. So she has one of the designs. The designs, yeah, I'm really pleased with how they came out.
Look good. Look good on you too, Tammy. Look great. Yeah.
They can be bought from either Big Cartel or Redbubble. They ship worldwide. They're reasonably priced, and a few dollars of each of those t-shirts help keep this little boat afloat. So that I promise that'll be the last request for money.
No, don't promise that. You know, David's very humble, but David does the live. So here's a bit of behind the scenes, right? David does like 99% of the work on this podcast. I just turn up and flutter my eyelids and try and look pretty and ask a half intelligent question. And that's about it. It's not without cost, and I promise you, no one's making any money out of this.
No.
Quite the opposite. So, you know, whilst we certainly are happy to give, you know, it will never change. This show will never be behind a paywall.
No.
It will always be free. It will always be audio only and audio visual, and because we love what we do and we love bringing it to you. But if you are so inclined to help out, let's be honest, it helps us, and don't be embarrassed about asking David. They can still say no.
True. No. Yeah, no, that's right. So speaking of patrons and Patreon and stuff, let's talk about our upcoming guests. So our patrons got the heads up on this in recent days. So we only do live streams every couple of months. So I thought I'd give a bit of a preview now. The big disclaimer here is that of these 4 guests I'm going to mention, only one we have already recorded and have in the can. The other 3 are scheduled in for the coming fortnight. But you know, you never know.
Guests.
Yes. So very excited. The next episode that'll come out probably in the next 6 to 10 days is Mr. Steve Majora, who's took over keyboard playing duties from Steve Porcaro. Actually, I just realised the whole Steve thing. I wonder if that was intentional. I never asked Steve that. It's took over from Steve Porcaro in Toto. So he's an amazing guy, lovely, lovely guy to talk to. We spent about an hour and 10 minutes, I think it was, chatting about his work with Toto. Lots of great insights into how he got the job, what it's been like playing with Toto, and amazing Steve Lukather, how David Paish played a role in getting him set up, and so on. So that's really fascinating. And Steve has his own solo career and does a whole bunch of album production work and has played with other people as well. He's really great. So that'll be out in the next week. The three that we have scheduled over the next 2 weeks, and these aren't necessarily in order. The first one is Mr. Bill Payne from Little Feat. Now, Bill, I think it's fair to say, Paul, Little Feat aren't as big in Australia as I know they're enormous in the US, and I think they're pretty enormous in Europe too. They're an amazing, amazing band. I love them now. I was a bit of an ignoramus about Little Feat until the last, say, 10 years, and now I just love them to bits.
Yeah, I'm probably not that different to you. I mean, they weren't on my radar as a young man, but they are huge in the United States. And Bill Payne is just I don't even know the right word to describe him. He's just an absolute legend of the game, brilliant player. And I'm again, this is one of the many that I'm not going to be able to do, but I'm really looking forward to seeing your interview with him, David. I think it's going to be great, and I'm just excited for it.
Yeah, no, it should be good.
Amazing. Yeah.
And just for something a little different, because Paul has left me standing at the altar for these next few. We actually will have as a one-off a guest co-host. So you may, for those that regularly listen, you may have heard Paul and I joke about how Joe Muscara, who's from Texas in the USA, is the only person that listens right to the end of the show. So Joe will be joining us because Joe is a major Little Feat fan, and will probably help save my butt with not asking silly questions or asking more incisive questions of Bill. So yeah, really looking forward to that.
Although, can I just get this out there, David? Joe, don't get comfortable, mate. All right,
That's
don't get
right.
comfortable. You got the aggressive mate. Like when you're Australian, there's a lot of ways to use the words mate. So that
Yes,
was the
that's
aggressive mate.
right.
So just get in, do your job, get out. Just get out. It's my chair.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, that's Bill. The other one, I'm super excited. And actually, it was meant to be in the can this week, but we had to do a slight reschedule. And I have to say, he's one of the most brilliant guys to deal with in the past few weeks when we've been organising this. And that's Mr. Ray Thistlethwaite. Sorry,
Hey,
Ray.
you better learn how to pronounce his
I
name
know.
before you interview him,
Yes. Ray,
David.
if for some silly reason you watch this live stream, I promise it's me, not you. As far as if I stuff this up. Ray is a genius guy. For those that are aware of Ray's work, if you don't live in Australia, Ray is best known as an amazing, amazing. It doesn't even, it's not just jazz. He can do anything, right? So he can play pretty much anything on organ, key, piano, you name it, he can do it. He's just come off a massive tour with Steve Vai, so he's been doing rock, but he does solo jazz gigs, he does trios, you name it. He was at NAMM, I think for Nord. I think he did stuff a couple of NAMMs ago. Just an amazing guy. Happens to be Australian, and for us Australians, most people don't recognise Ray as an amazing keyboard player. They recognise him as the front man for the band Thirsty Merc, which is an amazing band themselves. And they're just celebrating their 20th anniversary and are doing an Australian tour. So literally, I think Ray said he's doing 12 gigs in 13 days at the moment, and we're catching up a couple of days after he finishes those 12 gigs.
Yeah, in Australia, he's a genuine rock star. So he's the lead singer and guitarist
Yes,
of a chart-topping band here in
yes,
Australia that had a hit song that was picked up by a TV show. So this is the level he's operating at. And again, because I'm away for the whole month of July, I won't be part of this interview. But I'm begging David to ask him
yes,
how do us humble keyboard players do what you did and graduate from being a humble keyboard player
that's
to
right.
bona fide lead singer, guitarist, rock star? Because I just feel like that's cooler. I don't know.
Yes, no, it's definitely on the list of questions to ask. So yeah, and I can honestly say, and I'll probably say this in the intro and outro, he's just a genuinely amazing guy to deal with. He's humble. Look, I'm really looking forward to it. So can't wait for that one. The fourth and definitely not last but not least, Very excited. This one was one that I just, on an impulse, reached out, not expecting to get an answer, but got a prompt answer, and and that's Rachel Flowers. So Rachel Flowers is just a stunning pianist. She's done worked with all sorts of people from Keith Emerson through you name it. She's done it. Her own solo work is just incredible. She's released multiple albums. So I had the real pleasure of having a chat with Rachel on the phone. So this is one of the first times I've actually called a guest to set up a time. And Rachel is just one of the most genuine, lovely people you meet. So extremely excited over the next, I think it's about a fortnight, nearly 2.5 weeks. Um, so who needs weekends when you've got four people like that to fill up your weekends to talk to, Paul?
Well, I mean that's amazing, and what a coup, David. Well done on getting Rachel. And for anyone who isn't aware of Rachel Flowers, and I suspect a lot of our viewers and listeners would be, but if you're not, just Google her and be prepared to be blown away. That's all I'll say.
Yes, incredible. So yeah, very excited about those. We've also got. I don't want to. There's another two or three exciting ones, but we're still in the process of negotiating dates. But yeah, we've got a couple of brilliant UK people coming up and so on. So yeah, it's exciting times, Paul. So by the time you get back in August, I'll have a whole list of people for you to jump in.
Mate, look, thanks so much for lining up some of the most best guests while I'm away.
That's
I
right.
really appreciate it. No, it's look. I'm actually looking forward to them dropping. A couple might drop while I'm away, hopefully, and I can amuse myself watching the
Yeah.
episodes and maybe on the plane or something. That'd be great. So
Actually, a
yeah, I'm excited
message
for
has just come in on my phone that Elton's up for it, but it can only do July.
it.
Oh, it's such a shame.
I actually have a theory, folks, that David is telling them all. Look, July's the only time he's available.
Yeah,
Because,
that's right.
he doesn't have me getting in his way, tripping over his words, saying stupid stuff.
No, not at all.
Probably what it
I'll
is.
feel lost without you, but we'll work through it. So that's great.
Mm.
Otherwise, Paul, anything you want to cover up before we let this little? Oh yes, thank you. I wasn't sure. I was looking. I'm thinking, is that one of the t-shirts? So tell us about your t-shirt, Paul.
Yeah. Well, some of you may remember we put a call out a little while ago about if anyone's got a band they want to have promoted on our podcast, we're really, or here, we're really happy to do it. And we don't really care who the band is. It doesn't matter what you do. We're just happy to, and we get nothing out of it other than, I guess, a free T-shirt because we said send your T-shirt in, but we will be donating all the T-shirts to charity once we've worn them. But I just thought it's just a nice thing to reach out and spread a bit of, as Tammy always says, be someone spreading the love and welcoming other musicians to our fold. So let me tell you about this band now. Hopefully you can see that on the screen, David and
Yeah, and
folks.
that's actually a cool name. I like this.
Isn't it a great name? Dirt Road Angels. And it's a very cool t-shirt. It's like, I like the logo. Now, who are the Dirt Road Angels? Well, the Dirt Road Angels are four women out of Canada. And they do, best way, I'm not an expert on describing genres of music, but I would describe them as a pop rock country type feel. They're amazing harmonizers, so they do it's quite guitar driven, acoustic guitars, electric guitars, beautiful blended harmonies. Sounds absolutely fantastic. Really catchy, hooky hits. And they've actually got a single out now, which is called Pour Us, but it's not Poor Us, it's Pour us, as in me and my girlfriend's gonna celebrate and have a couple of drinks. So it's turning the whole idea of woe is me to we're celebrating the fact that we're out there having fun with our friends. So very cool, very catchy. So that's their current single. These ladies hail in the main from Alberta, and we were sent the shirt by them via our friend Tammy. So thank you for that.
Excellent.
So Dirt Road Angels, if you like country music, check it out. They've been around for 10 years. So it's Dahlia, Danita, Karen, and Shyla, and they're all sort of recording artists in their own right. It's very
Cool.
very it's really high end stuff. They've had quite a bit of success in terms of awards and chart and that sort of thing. So there you go, Dirt Road Angels. Thanks for the shirt.
I
It's
love it.
cool.
Yeah, that's it.
It,
Is yeah.
it actually fits me really well too, which is I'm not sure it probably doesn't come across, but I'm a real scrawny dude, so t-shirts don't always fit me well. This one does. This one might not make it to the charity bin. I might wear this on
That's
its
right.
own. I don't know.
Well, what's
Anyway,
funny when you were sitting there earlier, just because the R wasn't fully I thought it was DBA, which is obviously is it Dolby. Anyway, there's a DBA something in music, so I thought, oh, it's just I wasn't sure it was one of the band T-shirts. So that's great. I love it. So essentially, Dirt Road Angels are like the traveling Wilburys of Canadian pop country rock.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess so. They've got a real hooky melodic vibe. Very easy to listen to. But yeah, I'd encourage us to check them out. And nice piano playing in their tracks too, I should say. I wasn't able to ascertain if that's one of the four ladies I've mentioned who's doing the piano playing, or whether it's
AI.
session guys. Yeah, could be AI. Yeah. But it's yeah, some nice, really complimentary tasty piano playing,
Yeah,
I'd say in there too. So
no,
yeah, anyway,
that's
thanks for
excellent. Thank you. No, that's a perfect way to sign off. So it's been great to see you, mate. Yeah, as you alluded to, you're having a well-deserved holiday. Paul's been very kind to me, but tonight, but he works his, to use an Australian term, he works his ass off. Um, to in a whole bunch of different ways. So I think, yeah, mate, you deserve a month off. And if I can dump you while you're away, I will. But I'm probably not that organised. And yeah, looking forward to having you back. In August.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Look, thanks those who've dialed in to have a bit of a listen and a watch, and to those who'll be watching this subsequently when David posts it up on our channel. And mate, thanks for having me along again. I always thank you because I
No,
love
yeah,
hanging out with you, and I love working with you, and I love talking keyboards. What else are you going
that's
to do with
right.
your life? Yeah,
Exactly. And just make sure you get that Yanni interview or you're out.
done.